Okay, so I am home now from the Wairarapa Wool Weekend, and I just wanted to give, I guess, my final kind of thoughts on the event. Bonnie and I, we did film that chat on the first evening, and then the second evening, we were just a bit tired, I think, to do the filming. The second day was definitely the longer day for us, because on Friday we didn't get there till about midday. We did the marketplace, I had a workshop, and then we checked in the evening. So the last check-in was Friday night. Then Saturday morning, I got up and went to a 9 a.m. workshop with Gudrun. That was my second workshop I did with her from 9 to 12. And that workshop was about the sort of traditional Shetland hap. So a hap is basically just a shawl. It's a certain style of shawl. It's normally always garter stitch. It's normally in a square shape traditionally, and then you can fold it in half to create a triangle shape. Or you can do what would be called a half hap, which is just the single triangle shape, so half of a square. And we were basically doing, so once again, we had the Jamiesons of Shetland Spindrift wool for the workshop, and we could each pick 4 colors again. Now the colors I picked on the second day were these 4 colors. These were my colors for the second day. So I wanted to go a little different than my first day and have these kind of murky greens. I really like this marl, just a gray and white marl, and then this purple color. So those are my 4 colors on the second day. And we were basically just making a mini version of the hap so that we could practice the techniques. Now, I like this a lot because the way that you start the hap, you start with 1 stitch and then you increase from there. So you started out making this inner triangle, and what Gudrun was saying, and I totally agree, is it's just an easy project to start because it starts the same way no matter what size you're going to make it, and then you just increase as long as you want, and that'll determine the size you end up with. So it's an easy project to just start without having to think a lot, and then you can make decisions as you go about how big you want to make it, what you want to do on the border. But essentially you have the middle portion, which in a half hap is just a triangle like this. Then you have the traditional feather and fan lace. The Shetland people call it old shale or old shell, whereas here in New Zealand we mainly call it feather and fan. But it's just that really simple lace that you make with eyelets and knit 2 togethers that creates like a wavy sort of shape. And you do that on the border. And then we're doing this edging, which I haven't finished yet, which is just sort of like these, hard to see, but it's just like these mini triangles along the edge. And yeah, so I haven't finished this, but this will just be a cute little mini shawl, which I'll probably wrap around one of the little animals that I've knit before, which will be actually quite cute. But it's just a good way to practice all the techniques. So I enjoyed that workshop again. I was sitting next to Gudrun and just chatting with her a little, which was nice because I wanted to hear about her experience of being in New Zealand and how her trip's been going. She's spending a fair bit of time here, visiting with some family and doing some other things while she's in the country. So it was nice to talk about that, give a few recommendations. You know, I love traveling around New Zealand too. So anyway, that was another fun workshop. It was pretty relaxed, low key. So that was the morning, Saturday morning. And Bonnie dropped me off for that workshop, and then she went and did other things.
To mimic the 10 stitches you have left, okay? So I'm wrapping that around closely around the needle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I usually add about another 1.5 inches to that length. This is a little trial and error when you first do it. You might find you need to add a little bit more length or a little bit less, but for me, the sweet spot is around 1.5 inches. Then I'm going to let all of that length unravel from the needle, still keeping, pinched where I want to break the yarn. And I am just going to literally rip the yarn. It breaks apart really easily, this woolen spun yarn, and it's nice to have the fibers kind of irregularly sticking out there as opposed to giving it a clean cut. Then you're going to prepare the end of this tail by pulling apart the 2 plies. So this is a 2-ply yarn. I am pulling apart the plies only for about 1.5 inches. So don't pull them all the way down. You just want it for about 1.5 inches. So I pulled them apart, and then I'm going to rip out one of the plies. So that I have 1.5 inches at the end of this colour that is essentially 1 ply, okay? Put that one down, take up whatever colour you're switching to next, and prepare the end of that one the same way. So you'll do the same thing, pull apart the 2 plies. So again, I'm just doing it for about 1.5 inches. I'm pulling out one of the plies. So now this also has an end that is a 1-ply section. And what you have to make sure when you're doing this is that you don't splice to a tail and things like that. So once you have the 2 ends as 1 ply, what I do is I hold them in basically in an X shape, and I'm trying to center the 1-ply sections over each other, and then I'm folding each colour back onto itself. So the blue, I'm folding it back over onto the blue, the yellow back onto the yellow. And if I just hold this with my fingers right now, they are looped around each other in the center there, but the colours aren't merging. So I'm not holding these side by side and then doing the splicing, because then those 2 colours would get mixed together. So that just keeps them separate. And then usually what I do is I just put this in my mouth to get some moisture on it. Then I'm placing it in the center of my palm, and I'm putting the whole surface area of my other palm on it and rubbing, creating heat and friction. Don't try and do it just with fingers. Don't do it up on tips of your fingers, because we want to make sure this is properly felted together. So it's going to be faster if you use the whole of your palm to do it. And then essentially you go back to the knitting and you knit the remaining stitches that you have, and hopefully your colour starts where you want it to. If you're off by 1 stitch or something, I generally don't fuss with that, because it's right at the edge of the knitting anyway. The first time you do it, you might find, I have a lot more colour left. Or not, but there you go. I've done this a million times, so I'm usually pretty good with getting it where I want it. So there's my blue about to start. Obviously, if you were going to a colour that was quite close to the colour you were using, you wouldn't be able to notice that.
And then for most of the rest of Saturday, we just ended up doing a lot of socializing. So we were chatting with people on picnic tables. We were there was sort of a cafeteria area, which was actually quite nice, because they had waters and coffee and some platters of snacks and vegetables and crackers and things that people could have. And we were knitting and chatting with some people that I hadn't met before, which was really fun. We did a little podcast group sort of chat with Gudrun, and that was with Bibi and Steven from Just Another Knitting Podcast, and Barbara, I think her name is, but I can't remember her podcast. I'll try to find out. And so all 4 of us were sort of just chatting with Gudrun. I will make sure to insert a bunch of the clips we got during that chat. I will edit it down a little bit because we were sitting and chatting for, a little while, but I'll try to kind of cut out the most interesting parts and insert that in here. And so this event took place in this interesting kind of museum, and there was all these different buildings, and there was an old church, which is where we had our workshops. There was a couple of other old buildings. They were all kind of staged in a historical way. There's all these places to sit and different people to hang out with, and so that was really nice. And then there was a gala dinner on Saturday night, which was at a restaurant, but it was in a sectioned off area that was private. And I think Gudrun was going to give some sort of a presentation during that. I believe there was a quiz game involved and then a dinner. Bonnie and I did not sign up for that. I think it was a very social day, and I think we just ended up wanting to kind of have a quiet dinner and then go back to the Airbnb. So we went to a local pub and had a really nice steak. And then we went back to the Airbnb and just, hung out a bit. Our Airbnb was really lovely. I will have inserted footage, so you will have seen. It was a very sweet cottage, very quiet, just surrounded by fruit trees and grapes, and super lovely. So that was our Saturday. And then, Sunday morning, we just kind of had a leisurely morning. We felt like we got a lot out of Saturday. And so there was a marketplace again on Sunday, which I think extended into the afternoon. And that was the day that the marketplace was open to the public as opposed to just the retreat attendees. And so we decided we didn't stick around super long. We went back to the marketplace, we chatted more with more people, had more conversations, bought a few more things, and then I think it was about 11-ish a.m. that we headed back to Wellington, and then just spent some time at Bonnie's house, and then she brought me to the airport. So that was the whole trip, Friday through Sunday, and I got home Sunday night, which is last night. So I think the main thing I wanted to do is show you what I bought, because I did buy several things. I really wanted to support James and go to his shop. We got to visit his shop on Saturday. I forgot to mention that. On Saturday afternoon, we visited James's shop, Joy of Yarn, and we also visited Miss Maude. And Miss Maude is a shop that I have bought from online before several times. They sell the most beautiful Merchant and Mills linen fabrics and just really high quality notions for sewing and really nice patterns. They also have yarn and knitting tools. They have a beautiful shelf with a lovely selection of buttons. They sell quite a range of zips, and they just have a really nice aesthetic. The store is just very beautiful. I had never been in person before. I had only ordered online, but walking in, it's just a very aesthetically beautiful shop, and definitely a space that makes you feel creative. One thing that I loved about being at Miss Maude was trying on the sewing samples. So this will actually segue nicely into me showing you what I bought. So in the goodie bags that we got when we registered for the event, there was lots of fun little notions and bits and bobs from James and also from some of the vendors who were participating. And included in that was a discount coupon from Miss Maude to make a purchase. So I already have quite a fabric stash that I need to work through, but I couldn't resist the coupon, and I also couldn't resist the fact that I was there in person, possibly for the only time, well, definitely for the first time, and I don't know if or when I'll be back. And so something that I really appreciated about going to Miss Maude in person is they have racks full of sample garments, sewing sample garments. Obviously in our shop we have a lot of samples for knitted garments, and I appreciate that our customers, can sort of interact with our samples, and that helps a lot deciding what you want to make. But it was cool to have the same experience with the sewing samples. They had a ton of samples in the beautiful linen fabrics, and they also sell oilskin and stuff. And you could try on those samples there, and then if you like what you try on. You can get the pattern, you can get everything you need from them. So that is what I did because I had a coupon code to use. So I will show you what I got first from Miss Maude. So I tried on the pattern called, okay, it's Merchant and Mills, and it's called Landgate. It's kind of a jacket. I think it might be called an anorak. And this one is sort of jacket style. So this is the picture here of the garment. I guess it's somewhere between a jackety sweatshirt. Now the original intention is that this is made in some sort of oilskin, which is very cool. And it turns it into really an outdoor jacket. I saw a lot of examples online of people who made this in oilskin and wear it as a jacket, which I would do as well. But the sample I tried on was in a heavyweight linen. And I loved how that felt, and I think it turned it more away from being a jacket and more into being a nice looking sweatshirt. And I didn't want it to be quite as thick as the one I tried on. So my plan was to use a more of a medium weight linen. And I think it'll work out. It's a cool pattern. My plan is to use the drawstring on the waist, but not on the neck, so that it's less sweatshirty. The sample I tried on didn't have it in the neck, and I liked that. But I like the waist belt to sort of, tighten around your waist. Anyway, so I bought enough of this medium weight linen to make the anorak, and it's in this beautiful brown color. I can't remember what this color was called. If I find out, I'll write it on the screen, but it's some sort of a chocolate or cocoa brown color. So I think I bought 2.3 meters. What was it? Of this 2.8 meters, sorry, of this fabric in the linen. They also had a really nice matching cord for the drawstring. So I bought 2 meters of that just for the waist tie, and I didn't buy the one for the neck. And then I bought the correct size zipper, which is also matching with a nice brown color. And yeah, so I kind of have everything I need. I just need matching thread, but I have quite a stash of thread. So basically I have everything I need to make this Landgate anorak sweater from Merchant & Mills, and I'm excited about it. I like I said, I have quite a stack of fabrics, and I have a lot of projects I want to get through, but this one seemed fairly easy to do, and yeah, I couldn't resist the coupon, and so there you go. That is a project to do in the future, a sewing project. And then I did buy a little bit of yarn. Again, I know that I don't need yarn, and everyone says this to me, like, you own a yarn store, what are you doing buying yarn? But I did it intentionally. I wanted to support the people who worked so hard to put on this event. And so I bought several different things. Now, the first one I bought is not yarn, but I couldn't resist, because when I walked in and I saw these, this is a mug. When I walked in and saw these mugs, I audibly gasped because I thought they were the coolest thing. So I had to buy one. And she wrapped it so nicely for me because I had to pack it on the plane on the way back. But I'm going to unpack it so I can show you. Now I got this from, I think she's called Sarah Drake Pottery. I'll correct myself if that's wrong, but Sarah was her name. And she didn't just have mugs, she had other types of pottery as well, little dishes and I think little vases and things like that, and a couple of different types of mugs. But this mug stole my heart, and this is it. So it looks like knitting, and I asked her how she makes it, and she said she actually physically knit a piece of fabric and then used that knitted fabric to create the mold to then create these mugs. And I love that, the stitches are a little uneven because it's real knitting, as opposed to sometimes when you get a knitted themed mug, it's too perfect because it's not created from real stitches. But I love the sort of organic nature of this. And the cutest bit is that there's like this little lip where the cardigan would fold over and then have the little buttons. So it looks like the mug is wearing a little cardigan. So I couldn't resist. And then it's got the little green buttons. So I bought this mug, and it's probably the nicest mug I have ever bought. And I'm going to have to just be very precious with it. But yeah, I love it. So that's my mug, my first acquisition. And then I bought some yarn. So I bought yarn from the marketplace, and I also bought yarn from James's shop. So I'll try to go in order. No, I'll just go in order of how it is in the bag. So one of the coolest booths that they had there that I ended up talking to the ladies there for a while was Wairarapa Station. And I'll have a clip in here somewhere in this video of me having a quick chat with them about what they do. But they have a 1,000-hectare sheep and beef farm. They're located just about an hour north of Greytown in the Wairarapa. And so they've got, I think, Gotland, Romney, Polworth, Corriedale. They've got quite a few breeds of sheep. And they were selling, and they just purchased a mini mill, which she's telling me in this clip that I will insert somewhere. But they just purchased a mini mill, which they shipped in from overseas, which I thought was very, very cool. I mean, we need more mills in New Zealand, so I was very excited to hear that. So they're starting to mill their own yarn. So at their stall, they were selling their fleeces for spinning, which I have bought fleece from them before. So I resisted the urge to buy more fleece. I don't need more fleece right now. And they were selling hand-spun yarn as well. They have a local spinner who spins for them as well. And they were also selling their recent mill-spun yarn from their new mill equipment. And they had some naturally dyed yarns as well. And they had a variety of different yarn weights and different things, and a lot of really beautiful natural colors. So the first thing I knew that I wanted to buy from them is some of the hand-spun yarn, because I bought a few skeins of it before, and I've been wanting to have more to make a project. I would like to make the Vertices Unite shawl. I might have said this already when Bonnie and I were talking in the Airbnb, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I want to make a Vertices Unite shawl inspired by Lucy from Knit Night in all these natural colors. So I bought 5 skeins, just one each of 5 different colors of this hand spun, and here they are. So we have these lovely browns, this warm kind of camel-y color. I love this like silvery white color, and this gray. These are Gotland. You can see the sort of luster and sheen on the Gotland fiber. It's super lovely. So I have a variety of things. Yeah, it's a variety of breeds. They're slightly different weights, but I think they'll be super lovely together in the natural colors. So I'm very happy with that. That was sort of my plan going in. But then I also saw that they had their lovely brand new, like I said, their new mill spun yarn, and it was just too lovely to resist. It's lamb's wool. I can't resist a lamb's wool. So I got 3 skeins of this, and this is Gotland lamb's wool. So let's see if I can hold these up. They're just super lovely. Again, it's the natural sheep color. The sheep tag is 3003. And she was telling me that each of the sheep have names too. So they haven't put the names on the labels. They've put the tag. And I was saying, you should put the name on too. People would love that. But this is more or less, yeah, a fingering weight. And I don't have a concrete plan, but I know that if I have 3, I can make some type of a garment for myself. And it's just super lovely. A lamb's wool is always lovely. So 3 of those from Wairarapa Station. That was kind of my biggest purchase, was from them. And oh, I just found another one from the hand spun collection. So this is another Corriedale Romney cross and just another natural brown color. So apparently I bought 6 of these. Oh, I think she might have thrown in an extra one. She did. She threw in an extra one, which was very kind. So thank you for that. Patricia was her name. And then the other things that I bought from the marketplace were just single skeins, but I bought this skein from Kiri, the Kindly Dyer. Now, I've seen Kiri's yarn before. I haven't bought it before as much as I've admired it before, but she does everything with natural dyes. So these are all plant dyes. So this one says Eco Bundle. Walnut is the base color, and then she's used other, plants to get all these different colors. And this is 100% South Island NZ Merino, 4-ply fingering weight, but I just thought these soft, sweet colors were super lovely. I don't know what I'm going to make with it, but something maybe for my niece Zoe. I always feel like naturally dyed colors look really lovely on little kids and babies because they have such a softness to them. So I just bought that because it was beautiful. And then I did a similar thing with Kat from Broomstitch. There will be a clip of her somewhere in this video as well. It was really cool to meet her, really lovely to chat to her. She's a little bit newer of a dyer, but she was producing absolutely beautiful colors. I think a lot of intention went into it. She had this whole collection, which I think I'll show in the clip, this whole collection based on a theme of Scottish goddesses, and she had all these beautiful colors that she was doing. So I really wanted to support her, and I liked this color a lot. So this color is called Divination. The base is called Hearth Decay 100% New Zealand Superwash Merino. And this is the color. And it's got a base of white, and then it just has these really pretty speckles on it. So I don't know what to make with that either, but it could be a hat for someone as a gift. I don't know, could be anything. Maybe something for Zoe as well, but I just thought the colors were really lovely, and yeah, so that was from Kat. Okay, the final purchases are just the things I got from James's shop. So after we went to Miss Maude, we went back to the venue, but then we went to James's shop, which is called Joy of Yarn. It's a relatively new shop right on the main street down in Greytown. And James has a couple of different things. He had a lot of his own yarn. So he dyes his own yarn, which I actually had never seen before, I don't think. So it was really cool to see the yarns that he's making. He had some really interesting colors. And the other thing that he was carrying a lot of is he had a whole wall of the Jamiesons of Shetland. So he was telling me that he got that yarn in ahead of having Gudrun in town, because I think prior to that, there isn't anyone in New Zealand selling Jamiesons of Shetland spindrift yarn. You might be able to get Jamiesons and Smith from a couple of smaller online shops, but no one has Jamiesons of Shetland. And I think getting Gudrun in, he thought, oh, well, we should get a range of the Jamiesons in. So he had this beautiful wall with all these different colors. I think he has more than 100 colors of Jamiesons. So I had never knit with Jamiesons before, up until the workshops with Gudrun and using these yarns. And so I had all of these. Oh, one of them I've used up, but I had all of these colors plus one more from my workshops with Gudrun. And I wanted to get enough wool to make a jumper or some kind of garment. So I got these 4, which are really beautiful. Eggshell, oyster, moorland, and paprika. And so I just got these, and I thought that between these and all of these that I had left over from the workshop, it's quite a lot of colors. I could do a really lovely colorwork jumper. Maybe something like a Paul Klee sweater would be really lovely. I'll insert a photo. The Paul Klee sweater from Midori Hirose uses quite a few colors in the yoke and then a main color. And I would like to make that jumper at some point. It's a really beautiful pattern. And I don't know if I'll make that or something else, or if I'll do a design, but then I bought 10 of these to be the main color. So with all these different ones, I think they look beautiful together, and this will be my main color right here. This is called Ruby, and again, it just has a lot of depth of tone in there. These yarns are dyed in the wool, meaning that the wool is dyed before it's spun. That's why you get this beautiful nuance of color. They call these heathered tones. So I love the depth of that color, and I think it goes nicely with all of these other colors I've got. And then this is the skein I got from James that he dyed. So Joy of Yarn is also what he calls his yarn, as well as his shop. And this is 4-ply, fingering weight. It's 100% New Zealand merino, 400 meters. The color is called Tiki Tour. I'll take this off so you can see better, but I just thought it was a really interesting mix of colors that he put together. And I really think it's pretty. I love it when there's sort of like a muddy, earthy tone with a bright pop. And so I think that'll knit up really beautifully. Again, I don't have a plan for it, but there's so many things you can do with single skeins. And yeah, I wanted to make sure I bought some of James's yarn, because who knows when I'll be back in Greytown. So I got that skein, and that is all of the purchases that I made. I guess my final thoughts on the event are, I have never been to an event quite like this before, because most of the wool related events I've gone to are shorter usually, but also just more focused on the marketplace side, which is great. I love that. This was something a little bit different because it was more of a retreat style where you have the classes, the workshops. Yeah, I think the biggest pro is just getting all that time to actually sit down and have conversations with people. I think James did a really nice job of organizing the event. This was the first one, and he is planning to repeat them every 2 years. That's what he was saying. So I'm hoping that they continue and that they continue to grow and that more and more people hear about it and find out about it and can attend. Yeah, those are kind of my final thoughts on the event. I had a very enjoyable time. Nice to spend some time with Bonnie. And yeah, I wanted to thank James for putting this event together. I know that so much work goes in behind the scenes. I really respect the amount of time and effort that goes into it. So, and also Gudrun. I think it's fantastic that Gudrun was able to come, and, you know, for us New Zealanders, to get someone coming in from overseas and kind of sharing their perspective coming from somewhere else is really cool. So yeah, I will put together all the different bits of footage I got. This is kind of my first time doing this sort of vlog style, so I don't know how great my footage is, but my aim with this video is just, to the best of my ability, to give you a bit of a feeling for at least my experience of this weekend. Obviously, I didn't participate in every aspect of it, but this was my experience, one person's experience of this wool weekend, and hopefully it gives a little taste of what it's like to be at an event like this. And maybe you decide that you too would like to attend an event like this at some point. So yeah, hopefully this video is helpful, useful, interesting. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye.